Welcome back to another episode of Synergy's Accidentally Fit podcast. I'm your host, Joe Hashey, and the program is always brought to you by Synergy Athletics and our training facilities. And the point of the podcast is to talk to real-world adults and give you tips and tricks to navigate all the pitfalls that come along with trying to live a fit lifestyle. There's a lot of people that have been on the journey, and everyone has those speed bumps. And identifying them and picking a few things up might help you along your way. And today I am joined by the legendary Eric Purdy. Eric is legendary for three things. Number one, Eric is an all-time nice guy. Whenever we open a new facility or move something, he volunteers to come over. He's given up vacation time and has been such a kind member that I've gotten to know over the years at Synergy Athletics. Eric, how long have you been a member?
Maybe 5 years in February, actually.
Dang, we're growing old together.
Amen.
The second thing Eric is known for is spending a lot of time working crazy hours at Babies R Us, especially around the holidays. And when both our older kids were born, Eric helped us get our baby registries together. By us, I mean exclusively my wife. She did not let me choose anything, but she was very appreciative of Eric. And we're talking that, acknowledging the fact that people have wild schedules. Eric, what was your schedule like during the holiday season?
No days off, almost. Maybe 4 or 5 days off between usually the week of Thanksgiving until Christmas, if that. 12, 15-hour days on a regular. So not a lot of sleep, but it was worthwhile in the end for obviously situations like yourself with new parents. But yeah, it was a lot. 78-hour work weeks without blinking an eye.
And still taking care of your fitness, which was impressive. And the third thing Eric is famous for is for making fun of me when I attempted to run a 5K and assuming that I could not run one step further than a 5K. And genuinely, it hurt the most because he meant it and he didn't do it in a joking way. That he genuinely thought I could not run any further, which we'll talk about at the end of the podcast. But Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you having me.
So Eric, what were some of the frustrations you had that lit a light bulb off above your head that said, you know what, I'm going to spend some time getting in shape? What's something that kind of triggered that moment?
Yeah, so back when I turned 30, I started seeing a nutritionist. Now I'm 41, but I kind of had a little bit of a midlife crisis at 30. I was worried that it was about halfway point in my life. And, I was fortunate to not ever have any medical issues. I had some back issues, but no high blood pressure, no, high sugar, none of no medication. So I feel like on borrowed time. And, another year or two went by seeing a nutritionist, getting a little bit better of an eye opener of like how much food I'm eating. 2, 3 chicken breasts is fine, but that's just too much. It's not, don't eat that much food. And from there, it was just a matter of just, I always kind of worked out, went to the gym, did the whole upper, the bis and tris and back and
bodybuilding split, 1990s.
Yep. But it was all my own. A lot of friends that I worked out with kind of, moved away and stuff like that. And, I'd go pretty heavy for 3 or 4 months and feel good for the summer and then stop. And it's probably around, 5 or 6 years ago, I started running. It was, well, I shouldn't say I started running. It was the Couch to 5K program. A mutual running friend was like, hey, you guys, you should do this run coming up. It was a bridge run. It was a 5K bridge run. And
were your friends supportive, Eric, or were your friends judgmental?
No, very supportive.
Oh, okay, good. That's good to have. All right, not to have people give you a tough time. All right, back to your story.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have learned from them and paid that support forward to you. I will forever regret it. But anyways, so yeah, I did the Couch to 5K program on the treadmill, and running was hard, but I did that for probably like 6 months, 8 months. I did the 5K, kind of caught the bug a little bit, just because it was an amazing experience. And another year later, I'd done just a little running here or there. I didn't take it serious, but I ended up joining Synergy in February. And, after, I don't know, maybe like a month of like lowers, like actually working out muscle groups that should be worked out, not just, calves and squats and stuff like that. Running actually like got much easier, like hills became easier. And, yeah, from there, that was the initial part of it. It was just scared to not live long, scared of what would happen if I didn't start moving.
There's a lot of things I want to dive into in your story, Eric. I appreciate you sharing that. I guess we'll start at the beginning. What kind of triggered you? I know you said you started with a nutritionist, but
Oh yeah.
why at 30 did you feel like you weren't going to make any further? Did you have friends or family have issues, or was it just something that you started thinking more about?
It was actually right after I ended up with a herniated disc and a couple of balls discs,
Okay.
doing nothing from just, I think I got a better on the one day. And, I went to PT for a while, kind of got that back on track. And the moral of the story is you need to do more with your core, and lose weight. And so I launched off of that. While I was on PT, I was going to a nutritionist.
Mm-hmm.
And, once the back got better, that's when I didn't necessarily immediately do things. But yeah, just the back is the most crippling thing to happen. I can kind of make it without an arm if I had to, but having a bad back just shuts everything down.
That's not an enjoyable way to go through life starting at 30 through, having back issues. A lot of people struggle with when they get that first one, and a lot of people will have back pain that goes away. A lot of people have injuries that they don't take care of and will hamper their ability to enjoy a lot of their life. So a lot of credit to you for taking the initiative on that, because I didn't know about the back injury, but I do remember when we hiked Whiteface Mountain there about 2 or 3 years ago, where it never came up, wasn't an issue, but it was so cool to see you go through these accomplishments, the 5Ks, the hikes, and accomplish things in life that a lot of people who had back pain early on would not have been able to do if they throw in the towel early. So I like that part of the story. And I also like this part of the story is you started simple and small. You got to start with, pun intended, digestible pieces. You started with nutrition. See what I did there, Chris? Eric.
It's a great segue.
I was so happy with my pun. I went back a podcast that I was doing this morning with Chris Wilson. Well, there goes my credit. But
recycled puns, it's okay.
Yeah, I was just too excited. I blew it. So you started with steps that were practical for you with your schedule that you had, cleaning up the eating, getting back to what you knew, which was some curls and some tricep push downs for the weekend, for the summer. But I love the piece of you getting into running. Now, did you get into running to win races?
No.
Okay.
No. It was just something a group of friends were doing,
Yeah, so like the social aspect, I've done a few of these recordings. Have you ever heard of Penguin, the runner?
No.
So it's a story that actually helped me come up with a name and launch this podcast. I was listening to a book called How Much Do You Want It, I think. And a lot of it's about these crazy athletes doing crazy things, which is cool to read about, but perhaps not the most practical for a busy adult working 78 hours. And one page of the book, I was walking up by Copernic, and I remember going into about this guy who got into running and started running for Runner's World and became very popular. But it was called the Penguin Chronicles because he would always come in last place, and he was never trying to set any sort of record. All he was doing was trying to motivate other people to get into running and show that there's more enjoyment in it than trying to set PRs. But there's a community aspect to it, and an accountability aspect to it, and a health and fitness and longevity aspect to it. And finding those other things that are valuable other than comparing yourself to everyone else on a course or in the gym is extremely valuable, Eric. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's 100% agreement with that.
What was the time where you were outside your comfort zone, but you did it anyways?
I think, honestly, that Whiteface Mountain hike was like one of them. It was one of the, since the Baby Zeros retail world, I now, have banker hours for working in a financial institution. And that was one of the first Saturdays that I could actually do something on a whim. And I was a little uncomfortable because I hadn't ever hiked that long. But the last hiking I did was in Scouts, back 20 plus years ago. So the first thought was like, can I keep up with everybody? And so, but I didn't have any hesitation to jump in on the opportunity. I had to go out and buy like, socks and things like that because I didn't own hiking stuff. I had a backpack. But that's definitely one of many over the last handful of years.
So why didn't you hesitate? I love being on the hike and seeing so many different people be successful on it. But what was that? I'm just going to go for it. Is that just a mindset?
Yeah. I mean, so 2018, that's when we hiked. That year was the year that Toys R Us and Babies R Us, obviously aren't around anymore. But then I got a great opportunity with a local financial institution, and like life was phenomenal because during the time they announced the closure to when it ended, like I just dove all in on like fitness and nutrition, and I felt amazing. And that whole year was just like, you know what? It's all new stuff. I don't care. I tried other things, but I just had that was a year where it was like, I want to try as much as I can. And I don't care how painful it may be or how much it may be out of my abilities. I did a Tough Mudder like a month later after that too. It was the first Tough Mudder. So yeah, it was just a mindset. It was just all hesitation and then just deal with the physical aspect of it when it came up.
And I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, so I will, where you said life is phenomenal, but you were coming out of an industry that was closing and landed on your feet and made health and fitness a priority. A lot of that is self-driven. It's not that everyone goes through that experience and comes out healthier for it. So I think there's an important mindset that I want to at least acknowledge for the listeners, that you controlled what you could and landed on your feet. So a lot of credit there, Eric. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's your annual compliment. I give one a year to each person.
I'll take
Yours is
it.
the basic
Christmas bonus. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I had to get it in before the end of the year. We're pushing the time limit here. So who has been a part of your support system, Eric? How have you found the accountability to keep going and stay consistent over 5 years? As you mentioned before, where you just would work out for 3 to 4 months and then stop after the summer. Why is it different now?
So my wife is a big part of it because she's been just go all in, go do it. She's not a runner, but early on was definitely supportive, and it does take me sometimes away from doing things, obviously with family. And then honestly, the amount of people I've met through the running community and synergy and fitness in general, I get so much like motivation and stuff from seeing others succeed, but also just general conversations. And so, I have close running friends that we talk regularly that say like, hey, you getting out tomorrow? You can do this tomorrow. And then folks at Synergy and stuff, like, once you mark in, you're going to go to that workout. That's an inadvertent support system in itself, because
you better show up. I'll find you.
Or else I get a text at 5:05 saying, what happened, or 6:05. So yeah, it's a lot of people. It takes a village, I think, for you to navigate the dark days, because they happen to everyone, and you have to learn to anticipate it. So build yourself a support system that you can tap into to get through them.
Great advice, Eric. And the correct answer to this question will be in the form of a bullet point list. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So if we go back, imagine 30-year-old Eric with a bad back and out of shape and struggling to find motivation and take care of himself. And imagine Eric today. What is a list of things that you would have never imagined being able to do at 30 that you have done now by 41?
A list of things I haven't been able to do. So I've now ran 10 half marathons.
Amazing.
I ran a marathon last October that you may or may not be familiar with.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Things like a Tough Mudder, a yearly relay race up around Seneca Lake that involves running 3 times throughout the day, which again you are familiar with. Being able to just kind of go do things, and by what I mean by that is, obviously with the pandemic, there's not as much of an opportunity, but pre-pandemic, if there was a running event coming up, I didn't have to train for it. I can just kind of go do it. Or if things at the gym, like obviously Rovember is going on right now, so I was able to throw down a nice 1:33 time on that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Could you mention that to Brian? I think he texted me 1:34 was his time.
Really? I thought it was lower.
Just double
He
check.
was there for it. He was there for it.
Yeah, we're talking about Brian the trainer, and if you beat him, I would love to know about it immediately. So, all right, continue on your list, Eric.
Yeah, just so just basic activity. So shoveling, for example. Back in my 30s, I'd shovel a lot of snow, kind of be crippled for the rest of the day. Now I can shovel, and I've actually gone out and gone to the gym or gone for a run. So it's mixing a lot of fitness and normal things. So work around the house, heavy labor.
Move some gym mats for a friend.
Move some gym mats multiple times for a friend.
So there are some events that are part of a culminating, like, hey, let's go out and enjoy Try's 5K. 10 half marathons is amazing. And then there's some day-to-day life enjoyment, being able to shovel your driveway, carry your groceries in, not feel winded, not feel injured, and not ruin your day or your weekend by doing a little bit of physical activity and effort. So there's a lot there, Eric. I appreciate you sharing that. I'd like to speak about the culminating event that you had last year, which was the marathon. Now, as a podcast, I've hinted on as like an inside joke, but we got to say it, or else I'd be a terrible podcast host. Is that Eric did a lot of training for a marathon. He was doing an amazing job. He would run around his neighborhood right past the ice cream store, weirdly, because he would post like his run for accountability on Facebook, which was like the Map My Run or whatever app he used, which would be a trail right by a specific local ice cream store, which I thought was weird. But a lot of the members motivate me to do things too. I had never imagined running one step when at any point from college earlier. It had never entered my mind, but members like Eric, another member, Kevin, got me into hiking and doing the Seneca 7, which is like that relay race, bike riding event. And Eric, seeing him out run and seeing that all the time on my timeline motivated me to get out and do some more cardiovascular things to try out that community. And I got a taste of it when I went with Eric to do his marathon, where I had never really done an event like that. And the event itself was so spectacular, and it felt so cool to have a support system of people. Like I had never been in the runner's world. I was really impressed with how many people are so supportive, minus you, which we should get to now, Eric. So Eric, tell us about your marathon experience.
So my marathon experience. So the very beginning of it was, so honestly, we hiked up the Whiteface. It's all tied in the Whiteface Mountain, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We got to the top of that mountain. You see Lake Placid all far out, and it's like, I don't know, I've been toying with the marathon back and forth over a couple of years, but it's like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not physically fit enough for it. It's a lot. I don't want to hurt myself. And at the top, it was like, you know what? I'm ready. This is it. And then on the car ride home, there were some little off jabs from you and other Synergy members that were like, oh, you have X amount of half marathons. Like, you're ready. What are you doing? So that December 1st.
To be clear, we would have said you were ready had you not run a single step. You just go for it. See what happens.
That's fair.
But we did know you were ready because I had seen all the posts and followed along on your journey.
Yeah. Wife, same thing. You're ready. You need to do it. And so 40 years old was coming up, and I thought it'd be a great way to cap off my 30s. And so registered for it. It was 5 months of training, and it was amazing. The train experience. I'm ready to do another one. It's just that routine of every day having one single goal, like the fire and motivation was never as high in my fitness journey than it was for that marathon. because if I wasn't running, it was stretching, it was lots of ice baths, which I'd never done before. I had friends that ran all long runs with me on the weekends. Um, it was intense, but it was amazing. And then that's even before I got to the marathon day. The weather was perfect. Obviously, I think it was really nice. You know, you ended up being with me the night before because obviously you decided to run the 5K. I mean the marathon. And it was just nice having someone else to kind of share some of the experience with. And I actually had other friends up there that I had trained with the whole time. And I never was really nervous the day of or the day before, just enjoying the experience. You're right. The support of strangers is immense. And so I still have a picture on my phone of the start line of just all these people and everyone you walk by, nice, good job, good luck, keep it up on the course. Just obviously the stops and stuff as you experience just, gives you goosebumps, like thinking about these people that have no idea who you are. And many of them are probably runners themselves and they just were just all in. And, there was never a period during the marathon of quitting, but there's definitely a period of how am I going to complete, or when am I going to complete it? How am I going to complete it? Because, I was hurting at like mile 15. I was limping bad. And I just popped some leave. And around mile 19, 20, like everything just kind of like clicked and it felt great for a few miles. And the last 5 miles felt like death, running through the town and stuff. But yeah, it was just an amazing experience that it's hard to describe unless you've been a part of it. But it made every hard day of training worth it, and then some. Definitely something I want to experience again.
And this is the culmination of a progression of steps for listeners. If you haven't ever run, Eric started with a couch to 5K. He started with 5Ks. He did half marathons. He did hikes. And the point for long-term fitness is choosing an event and preparing for it. That preparation for it is what improves your fitness level, not being like me and just trying it. But like the preparation is actually what gets you in shape. So that's a critical part of it. And Eric and I were joking around because another gym member was talking a lot of smack to me about me not being able to run. So I signed up for the marathon, and I found out Eric was doing it. I did not know he was doing it until, I don't know, the Thursday before is I think when I signed up, and it was on Sunday maybe up in Corning. And I hadn't run. I ran a practice run on Saturday because it was our gym 5K. And that was the furthest I had run in a long time. And my shins hurt when I woke up Sunday to run from a 5K. But the experience I'll always remember. And the reason why Eric and I are joking around, because I'm like, hey, Eric, I'm going to go up and try this out. And you're like, oh, the 5K is on Saturday. I'm like, well, no, I'm doing the longer one. He's like, the half marathon? Wow, well, that's at this time. I'm like, no, I'm doing the same one as you, Eric. And he just wouldn't believe me that I was going to try it out. He's like, no, you're stupid. He was very unsupportive.
Well, props to you because all seriousness aside, that was a feat of athleticism on your part, and awesome job because that's inspiring for me because I do hesitate to jump on new things sometimes, and you are an example of if you have a base, if you have a round of athleticism to you, you can figure out your way to get through something without completely crippling yourself. So.
I just liked jogging from snack station to snack station all afternoon. It was like a buffet every mile. But no, all seriousness, I think what Eric's talking about, and he has now, and what led me to feel like I could go run a marathon with Eric and all the other people at the marathon, is that fitness isn't just for one event. It's that preparation. And once you become fit, you can do some amazing things on short notice. Someone asks, hey, you want to go for a hike next week? You don't have to say, well, give me 8 months to get ready. Say, all right, let's go. I might be a little slow. I'm unprepared, inexperienced, but yeah, I'm going to go for it. Having that base level of fitness is going to open up a world of enjoyment and a world of cool challenges that keep the motivation going instead of bouncing up and down like Eric was talking about earlier. And that marathon really hurt.
But worth it.
Yeah, it was, there's lots of food at the end too. That was like, but you're right. That last running through town took forever.
Yeah.
I'm like power walking, like hobbled. The most devastating thing, I don't feel like I should say it on the podcast, but since it's my podcast, devastating right nip injury from chafage. Oh,
Oh,
it hurt for days.
oh man, that stuff will get you.
Yeah, well, you gain experience through the process. And Eric, in closing, if there's another adult, busy mom, busy dad, busy professional adult like yourself listening to this and struggling to get started, what words of wisdom can you share?
So Joe talks a lot about your why. You know, I think finding a why first. So, you know, what's your initial incentive? Is it to lose weight? Is it to feel better, move better, live longer? But then from there, realize that it's not a straight line, and that you want to have little micro goals or things to kind of motivate you along. So, you know, is it a 2 mile hike at a local trail? Find something that you can break down either daily or weekly to attain, because you're never going to know if what you're doing today is going to make you live longer. Or, obviously you can really make good food choices every day for the weight loss portion of it. I don't think that's sustainable unless you have little micro goals, and then have at least one or two people in your corner that no matter what you can reach out to when you're feeling down. Because, I have people that I've texted the night before or the morning of, like, hey, I want to go for a run, but I'm just not up to it. And my friend will text back, put your shoes on and go. So I think those are the really big things, is support and just goals to keep your motivation up, because motivation is going to fade fast. And take those little goals, once you achieve them, put those in a little like a little motivation jar.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think about them and tap into it. And if I struggle to get out for a run tomorrow, it's like, I ran a marathon last year. I can go do 3 miles tomorrow or today. So yeah, those are probably the big anchor pieces that I navigate through my life with now.
Eric, thank you so much for being on the show, and I do appreciate your friendship over the years, the help and support you've given to us as a company at Synergy. You're always generous with your time, and thank you so much for sharing some of your story with listeners of the Accidentally Fit podcast today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and it's great talk.